Hello and welcome to the Raptors Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm your host, Walu. A reminder, we are streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday between 1 and 3 p.m. I am joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. Alex Wong, day 2 of our new schedule, going 1 to 3. Day 2 of you coming in 5 days a week. I see you already got the juice with the boost.
Yeah, what's up, man? I just bumped up this Google Doc that we always use.
Yeah.
I had to increase the font size on it because I guess I'm getting old. Can't really see what we have in the rundown.
That's really
yeah,
tough.
I've got it 110%. But yeah, happy to be here with you. Shouts yesterday to our guests, especially Danny Green and Chris Boucher. And, Danny, so the Sixers are going to be in town on Thursday. So Danny's actually filming live inside the green room. I think he mentioned
That's
it
right.
briefly.
Yeah.
It's at the Rec Room tomorrow, so if anybody wants to check that out.
It
sounds
7:30?
like 7:30, so if you want to go to Danny's Twitter page or shouts to our friend Harrison Sanford.
Of course.
I think there's going to be some fun guests that they're teasing. Some
Yeah,
surprise
they're
guests.
teasing because you know what? Just being real, behind the scenes, booking NBA players, it's a moving target.
Oh, yeah. That's why I always have
But-
my phone on the table, you know?
Yeah.
Besides from my sources around the league messaging me during the trade deadline.
I mean,
Remember that day? That was fun.
that was pretty.
Was
that
it
was pretty fun. Yeah.
When we spent an hour talking about Thaddeus Young. Shouts to Thad Young.
That was one of our original 2-hour specials.
Yeah, we've had like
Yeah.
2 or 3 of those. I was thinking too, because Blake Murphy Tuesday is happening in the second hour.
That's right. We're not gonna make Blake do 6 hours of radio. in one day.
Don't speak too soon.
Oh,
This,
okay.
just this week we're kind of pacing
okay. Yeah.
Blake back
Right,
in,
right.
but Blake's been generous enough. He said that, hey, if you need me for another hour,
No, Blake on this
another
station
2
is
hours.
Fred VanVleet on the Raptors, man.
Yeah, you called him Ben Zobrist, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, I feel like that's like a deep cut, but like no, it's the same usage as Fred, man.
No, seriously.
Comes back from the knee, 40 minutes, no problem.
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, Blake Murphy Tuesday. I was thinking too, like
Yeah.
the 3 of us, because we joined Sportsnet at around the same time. Had to put your arrival on embargo for like 3 months. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
That was fun.
No, it was like the Miami Heat Big 3 kind of thing.
Yeah, but we haven't been in studio together. So maybe I just got to sit in for 1 minute in the second hour
What?
just to make history.
You're just gonna be sitting like literally like just behind the glass here. Which
Yeah,
is
but I
like,
just wanted 3 seats so then we can take a screenshot of us.
okay.
All
right.
If you're okay with it.
I'm okay with it. You can sit in with us if you want to.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, okay.
1 hour
All
of basketball seems enough for Alex today.
Damn.
Anyways, the Raptors are playing tonight against the Atlanta Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
So the standings watch continues. Cleveland is in Orlando, so go Orlando Magic.
Oh.
Name 3 Orlando Magic players right now, please, for me.
Cole
Anthony,
Anthony,
Mo Bamba.
Suggs.
There we go. Suggs
Okay.
is hurt though, right?
He's
Jalen
hurt.
Suggs is hurt.
You're right. Wendell Carter. I think he might also not be available.
Okay, active, please.
Bamba,
Yeah, I already named Bamba.
Chuma Okiki. Big
okay.
fan of Chuma.
Okay, there
Franz
we go.
Wagner. Hopefully his ankle's okay after
Okay.
him twisting it against the Raptors. No, we
Yeah.
need all hands on deck for the Orlando Magic. I know in the last episode, literally yesterday, at this exact same spot in the
Yeah, how have we opened both 2-hour shows with the Orlando
yeah,
Magic?
this is tough. But
They don't teach you this in journalism school.
no, that's why we didn't go.
Oh, that's right.
But in any case, I know I had slandered the Orlando Magic. Not even slander. Let's just be real. No one cares about this organization or the team. However, we are cheering wholeheartedly for them because if the Orlando Magic defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers and if the Raptors beat the Atlanta Hawks today, the Raptors will officially clinch a spot outside of the play-in.
Yes, in the top 6.
Yeah.
Magic number is 2. So the magic number is 2. And we've got Milwaukee visiting Chicago
Oh.
tonight.
Well,
Don't want to get ahead of myself,
no,
but
listen, there's the
what's the record again for the Bulls against just good teams?
I think
1-17 maybe?
So they were like 0-16 against teams above them in the stand or in the top 3 of each conference. I think that's 0-17 now that they lost to Miami early on in the weekend. And obviously Miami's first in the East. So right now Milwaukee's ahead of them. And yeah.
Listen, best case scenario tonight, the Raptors clinch a top 6 spot and move ahead of Chicago
Yes.
into the 5th seed.
Yes.
That
I
is the
agree.
best case scenario. Worst
I
case
agree.
scenario, we're not going to address that.
Well,
So-
I mean, look, worst case scenario, like in terms of the top 6 thing, I mean, not to get ahead of ourselves, but when the magic number is 2 and you have 4 games left to play for the Raptors, you just need to get 2 wins or Cleveland needs to lose twice.
Yes.
So when you're looking at
You just don't want to. I
the
mean,
Knicks last day of the season.
no, I get it. They got
You're looking
Houston.
at
They got
Houston coming
Houston, and then the Knicks in the last 2
Yeah.
games. But also, like I'm sure you might talk about this later with Blake too. It's like if they do lock into a 5th seed or 6th seed, that might be a good chance to rest some of the guys too. If you can get that wrapped up earlier, and there's no more seeding to move up.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, but the Raptors are looking at a week of rest next week, and then, can you believe it? The playoffs are starting soon. How excited are you about the playoffs, man?
Honestly,
are you gonna say you're not that excited?
No, I'm
Please don't
always
ruin the
excited
whole premise of the show. Man.
I'm always excited for the NBA playoffs. I think it's always really stressful when your team is in it, just because like your mood is gonna swing wildly from game to game.
You don't seem stressed though. I've sensed a very good mood from you the last couple weeks.
I will get into this a little bit actually, because we're doing a vibe check of the middle of the Eastern Conference playoff race, and the Raptors are going to be the first one we touch on. And for me, I'm just I'll just jump ahead to this. My vibe check is out of 10 in terms of like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Willu vibe check.
The Raptors are a 10 for me.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and my thinking is we're kind of playing with house money.
Yeah. I know how that feels, yeah. From the casino
okay,
15 years ago.
That's
when
right.
you sit down and, at the blackjack table, you're up $500 like 20 minutes in.
No, exactly. So you're already feeling like, okay, look, the season has gone really well. And not that you don't want to compete to your best ability. That's not what that means. What I'm trying to say is that, like, I feel good about this team regardless of what happens. There's not like this kind of huge, overwhelming pressure in the way that, Miami, I feel like, probably feels a ton of pressure about their team, right? Because they're older. Milwaukee definitely feels a lot of pressure because they're the defending champions. And, their guys, their top three is, Giannis accepted, but, you got Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday in their 30s. Brook Lopez only played like 10 games this season. I'd be more worried if I were the Milwaukee Bucks. I'd be more worried if I was the Chicago Bulls, because you're basically locked into a team that doesn't really have that much upward mobility. Plus, some other vets are older, Vucevic and DeMar. Right? I'd be more worried if I were. I guess the Celtics, I think, are probably going to be okay, but you never know if they lose badly in the playoffs. Then you all of a sudden go back to a situation where it's like, well, how do you improve this team? Do you move this guy or this guy? You know how the Boston market is. And then, I think for the Raptors, they're kind of just. We know they're going to bring back everybody, like all the core players, all the key pieces. The biggest key free agent is Chris Boucher, and the past that is Thad Young, right? And Raptors hold bird rights on both guys.
Yeah, and no offense to Chris,
chilling.
no offense to Chris or Thad, but these aren't as huge as say Kawhi or Kyle going into free agency.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like chilling, and I really just want to know like what the Raptors look like in a playoff setting. I think it's a good test for them if they get there, which I think they will, and. For me, I'm just looking forward to seeing how this young group reacts. I want to see how Scottie reacts in his first playoff series. I want to see, Precious, these guys. I want to see this positionless style, how it holds up in the playoffs.
Yeah, Pascal and Fred playing bigger roles.
Yeah.
In a playoff setting.
Yeah, Gary, with this group, this is going to be the first time he goes to playoffs with us. And, I think the other thing is true is just like, I guess on a bigger level, the Raptors obviously play this really unique style, right? And I think a lot of teams kind of struggle with it. The fact that they have so much length, so much athleticism. What does that look like in a 7-game series when teams can sort of plan and scheme more directly for it? And all these things I'm looking forward to. So for me, the vibe check for the Raptors is a 10 for me.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a 10 for you as well? Like you as Will Lou? Like what's your vibes?
I mean, I don't know, man. My vibes aren't like personally super high right now, but
really?
I think it's because
you're like a 9 to me, man.
There's just so much work right now, man. So.
Okay, so it's just work related.
No, I'm just tired. I go to sleep thinking about what's going to be on the show. And I wake up in the morning.
Yeah,
I'm like,
me too now.
Get out the house.
Too now. Starting this week,
I got to figure out what's going on.
Me too.
Like, I'm not trying to complain about the job. I'm just trying to say that there's a lot of work, and I work like 6 days a week, and
it's not healthy.
I mean,
adulting is hard.
Like I said, I gave you the option last week: 1 10-hour show or 5 2-hour shows. Still on the table.
Give me the Raptors telethon.
Give me the telethon.
Please.
Oh, man. No, but I'm with you with the house money stuff. But let's be clear. It's going to be pretty intense in that radio booth, that first playoff home game with you.
My goodness.
Like, let's be clear on that, okay? Like, you're not going to be chill.
No, of course.
Every game is going to be the game for you. Let's be clear.
I agree. I agree.
I just want to get that on record.
Yeah. What's your vibe check on the Raptors?
I kind of just roll with you. I just as I've piggybacked off your career in the last 3.
You've clearly written 8 in the chart.
Oh right. Okay.
Why don't you just say 8?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go with 8.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to ride with my host. Yes. I think my vibe check for the Raptors it's an 8. Team's relatively healthy. OG's questionable tonight. Not too concerned about tonight. More concerned if, this drags on into the start of the playoffs. And, they just came off a win streak. That was a tough loss to Miami.
Yep.
But I don't know. They're not going to win every game.
Honestly, watching back on the film, was it the Raptors' best effort? No, but also Miami did hit some ridiculous shots. And
when Max Strus and Victor
happens,
Oladipo hits those threes, what are you going to do? And I think the schedule, like we mentioned, is set up for them to make a final push this week. And honestly, I think it'd be fun, whether it's tonight or Thursday against Philly, for this team to clinch a playoff spot on their home court. I think give the fans a little bit to celebrate at the end of the game.
Well, I mean, the vibes are consistently good at Scotiabank these days. First off, they've started winning again. With
the fans
in the building.
The environment has gotten a lot better the last couple of weeks, wouldn't you say?
I agree. I thought that Boston game was super intense. Obviously, I wasn't in the building for that one. The Indiana game,
free Willie.
Place was literally on fire.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. You've been waiting for that one? Okay. Stand-up comedian over here?
Yeah, not good. I'm going to stick to covering the Raptors. The Kyle Lowry game, obviously, we knew how that was going to be. And then, we talked to Danny yesterday, and Danny was kind of unsure in terms of, like, how the reception's going to be.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't really hear his reception. No, I'm just kidding.
Relax. Come on, man.
Shouts to Danny.
Nah, man. We got to get that man a Rogers phone. But, like, seriously, just that I think Thursday is going to be a really, really good environment just because of the fact that
be fun.
It's the last thing from the championship. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the last bit of business.
And you get to
it feels like Lord of the Rings at the very end. The hobbits return to the Shire, but then there's that extra little plot about how they got to defeat Grima Wormtongue, who had escaped back to the Shire and is creating havoc there. And then
Lord of the Rings should have been an Olympic event, man. It's just 9 hours of walking, for one ring. Even Danny hasn't worked that hard to get one ring, man.
Yeah, so
that's all I'm saying.
Basically, yeah. So no, but this is finally the situation where they're going to be finally able to wrap up that, and it'll be the last time you get to celebrate it. And I think it'd be really cool. I think first of all, Danny's going to get a huge ovation. I think he's really adored here.
Danny should get a huge ovation.
Yeah.
We talked about it yesterday. Like, aside from the on-court contributions, a couple things I want to point out. Number one, this man answered every question for Kawhi while he was here.
Oh, yeah. That was
every single reporter, including myself, would go up to him in the locker room and ask him the questions that Kawhi wouldn't answer for us. Like, listen, like, how is Kawhi doing? Where does Kawhi live? The way you take photos from me at the arena is the way he was answering questions on behalf of Kawhi. Kawhi should really, tip him at the end of the season. Like, yeah, instead he's like, I'm not even going to tip you off as to where I'm going. I'm going to make you wait, Danny, for a week.
He did make him wait
during
a whole week during free agency.
Didn't he invite people like to a random house in LA, like the Lakers, the Clippers?
You mean Drake's house?
Yeah, it was Drake's house, right? Anyways, we don't need to revisit that. Shouts to Kawhi Watch.
As you said, man, Kawhi ruins vibes on this show. Actually, every single time he gets brought up, you do that sigh that you just did.
No, you're right. We needed that all year, Derek.
This guy really said, I'm a sigh.
No, but I hear you. I think the Sixers game will be fun. And, let's hope we wrap it up. So I got the vibes at 8, but I thought we could, here in the first half of the show, go through the 4 teams that the Raptors are most likely to face.
Yeah, because at this point, Miami, I think, has got a really firm grasp on the first seed.
They would need to lose out, and one of Boston, Milwaukee, or Philly, I think, would need to win out, basically.
Which is not going to happen.
Yeah. So, by the Alex mental math, I think the probability of the Raptors playing the Heat in a 1-8 is probably like less than 1%. But,
Well, I mean, you are the former accountant. You would be the one that would be crunching the numbers here.
I'm still trying to get over your joke about the place being on fire.
Okay, all right.
Anyways.
Lloyd Banks was performing that day.
What? Oh, deep cut.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Big Pun.
Deep cut.
Oh,
this
man.
is what happens when you extend the show from 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah, this feels like Friday already. What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on?
No, because the vibe is at 10 right now.
The vibe is good.
They literally lost.
Have you had any dreams lately, by the way? You went through your dream of the Raptors making the finals last week.
I think about this team all day. I can't dream about them again.
Okay.
No, the dream is still the same.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to hear that, go to last week's episode where I covered the fact that Scotty Barnes, who is a human reincarnate of Magic Johnson.
Yeah, the player, not the Twitter account. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to verify.
Yeah, will go into Boston in a pivotal moment in the playoffs as a rookie, playing de facto center.
You said Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals specifically.
Yeah, Game 7. Yeah, whatever. And then, last shot, drives in, and then goes in for a sweeping hook shot, man.
We should call someone, the people who analyze dreams? Maybe next week.
All right.
Let's see.
This is why you're producer / co-host.
I think we're going to get Will to walk off air live this week at some point.
Yeah, it might happen.
7 more hours to go. But yes, so let's go through these teams. Maybe we can do Miami real quickly. I mean, let's do Miami because that's a potential second round opponent, right? Which we can quickly talk about.
Sure, yeah.
So I think for each team, want to do a out of 10 vibe check.
Yep.
I like what you mentioned too about the pressure that each team has. Maybe we can do a pressure ranking out of 10, like how much pressure
We got to ration our
are
content.
on these teams.
We gotta
Oh,
ration
okay.
our content.
Is that next Tuesday?
Let's go next Tuesday, baby.
Okay. So and then let's go through this pros and cons of this potential matchup.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So Miami Heat, I've got their vibes at 5, and I'm just basing that based on the very publicized fight between Eric Spoelstra, Udonis Haslem, and Jimmy Butler. To me, it is, representative of something that I think is deeper there. And I've always been a big believer in like the chemistry and vibes in the locker room of things, especially when you're competing at this level, competing for a championship. And we saw, I know they've responded since with a bunch of wins, but I don't know, like that moment still sticks with me. So I'm going to put their vibes at 5.
Yeah. For me, I don't know if I'm just buying the Heat culture, but
Goran Dragic?
I got the vibes higher, man. I got the vibes at 8. This is the reason why.
Okay.
They've won 4 straight.
Sure.
Right. Obviously, the first game, it was Sacramento, which like any basically team in the NBA should be able to beat Sacramento.
Yeah, in the last 16 years, basically.
They also rested some of their best players. Not that it would have mattered, but still, they were without some of their best guys. But after that, they beat the Boston Celtics. That was after the Celtics had their full roster back, minus Robert Williams, because they weren't playing in Toronto. And we'll get to that in a second.
Yes.
So they beat the Celtics. They beat the Bulls. Going to Chicago, they beat the Bulls. Second half of back-to-back, they rest the guys, and as we covered yesterday, they beat the Raptors and Kyle Lowry's return to Toronto, right? So, I mean, just imagine how high you would be if I just told you the Raptors on a 4-game win streak, they beat the Celtics, Bulls, and the Heat. Like that's essentially the run they've just gone on. They've essentially clinched number 1 in the Eastern Conference. They're very healthy too, right? They have all their guys available. So, especially when you look at Victor Oladipo, if he can even do anything close to what he did to the Raptors over the weekend with some sort of consistency, then now the vibe check's got to be pretty good for Miami. So,
all right, no,
yeah,
I'll disagree with you on that.
Wow,
yeah.
A rare time we disagree.
Yeah, we should disagree more. Should we do more artificial arguments?
Oh, I thought you were gonna bring up
what was I gonna bring up?
The handover. Never mind. Just keep going.
What?
No, we're talking about dribble handoffs.
Oh, you mean Masai handing over the reins of the coaching job? Oh, man, from Dwayne Casey to Nick Nurse. Okay, that's enough tap dancing. All right. Pros and cons.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of facing the Miami Heat. Let's get our pros. My only pro is you get to see Kyle Moore in Toronto. What's your pro?
I think we match up well with them. Like, that's the thing. The Raptors won't play them in the first round. However, if, there's a chance, I guess, you see them eventually in the playoffs. I like OG on Butler. I think that's a really good matchup. Butler is a guy who really likes to use his strength offensively to carve out position, and he draws a lot of fouls. I think a guy like OG can definitely match Jimmy for strength, has the length to contest a lot of his shots. And obviously, like, Jimmy's going to probably, get into different screens. And in the playoffs, you're playing a lot of mismatch basketball. What is the mismatch on the Raptors? You're going to switch and get Pascal? It's not like Pascal can't contain Jimmy or other guys can't contain Jimmy, right? So I like the matchup there. I like what the Raptors have done against Bam. I haven't really felt like in the 4 games the Raptors have played against Miami this year, hasn't really felt like Bam has like hurt the Raptors and to that degree. Of course, you have to really respect the fact that he's a skilled offensive player. The fact that, obviously he's a big body around the basket, the dribble handoff actions, which I feel like they ran a lot less. We didn't see a lot of those dribble handoffs that you usually see with them with Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero, or I guess Kyle Lowry can probably run a lot of those too. You didn't see a lot of those when the Raptors played them this past weekend, but I feel pretty confident in how the Raptors can contest Bam. I think the Raptors have generally played him more straight up, let him attack one-on-one in the mid-range area. He settles for a lot of mid-range jumpers, I feel like, and the Raptors have good length to contest against him. Not as worried there. My hope is that Gary and Tyler, Gary Trent Jr. and Tyler Hero can play each other mostly to an even. I would say Tyler is more dynamic, as we saw in the weekend where he had 8 assists, right? I don't think there's going to be a game this year where Gary's going to have 8 assists, although who knows? You never know. But ultimately, I think Tyler is the front runner for 6th man of the year, and he's definitely somebody who can really impact games. But let's be real, Gary has definitely torched the Heat this year as well. I think Fred and Kyle can play each other even. We saw that over the weekend. And then the rest of the guys in the rotation for both teams are hustle guys, and the coaches are pretty even. So, like, I'm not saying the Raptors will beat the Heat, but I think that they're so close on so many margins that, for me, I think it'll be a long series. And, like I said, probably be a lot of overtime periods, and it'll be Raptors in 10.
You keep saying Raptors in 10.
No, I'm just saying they already played a triple overtime game. That's got to count for
So when Sportsnet shows Raptors in 30, it's actually all 30 quarters they had to play.
Oh man,
in the
they'd be lucky if the series is only 30 quarters.
But yeah, so I think I agree with a lot of things that you said. The two teams really just remind me of each other.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Try hard teams, well coached. I mean, Kyle's on the other team now. The Raptors have Fred.
Yeah.
And I think when talking about these matchups, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but we got to stop talking about the Raptors like they're just a 6th seed or they're just a 7th seed, just making into the playoffs, because we've seen the sample size now of this team since the new year. And when we've seen those graphics flash up on like every television broadcast, they're one of the top teams in the East.
Yeah.
Since January. They're up there with the Miamis, the Bostons, and the Philadelphias. And I really do think that's going to play out in a 7-game playoff series. Like, to me, when I look at Toronto and Miami, like, I put in here in a rundown, like, wanted to make like these way too early predictions, without even thinking too much about it. Like, for me in Miami, Toronto, it's whoever's healthiest at the end wins in 7 games.
Damn. It's really last man standing.
Yeah, it's last man standing. But I don't look at Miami as this like immovable object that the Raptors can't beat in a 7-game series.
No, the Raptors played them full strength already, and they went ahead and beat them twice. So, like, yeah, I mean, I think Kyle's like IQ and just know-how in terms of how familiar he knows the Raptors, I feel like that gives him a slight edge. But, luckily we don't have to see this series, because first off, it would be heartbreaking.
Yeah, so some of the cons for me is just if Kyle has that moment where he eliminates us. I mean, how do you even feel as a Raptors fan? You can't really feel happy for him. I mean, I would root for Kyle in later rounds, but that's the other problem too. If this matchup happens, whoever wins is not surviving the next round.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is an elimination chamber match.
This is essentially Raptors Celtics in the bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both teams exhausted each other, and then they couldn't go on, and Miami was able to go to the finals.
I think that's the other key point too, and I think friend of the program, Joseph Cacharo, mentioned it on his Pound the Rock podcast, is that historically when teams have gone to 6 or 7 games in the first round, they don't go on to win the championship. So the Raptors, in a way, can really ruin someone's plans in the first round.
Yeah.
So
that's why you have a quote in here from Fred, remember?
Yes. So Fred was on the other network yesterday.
Okay.
And the other radio station. And, he talked about how when he was at All-Star Weekend, some of the guys there, so the best players in the league, took a vote about the least favorite team to play against. And he basically said the Raptors won out. Like, a lot of guys were like, yo, we don't want to play you guys. Which I think bears out. It bears out, right? Because we know Nick Nurse's game plans. We've talked about his all-you-can-eat menus for every single star player. And you know what? The cool thing about this Raptors team, and I'm not trying to call past Raptors team soft, because, the 2019 team was a really tough team, the 2020 team. But for a long time, the Raptors franchise had a reputation of being
playing really
like
soft.
A pushover.
Oh.
Okay, Derek.
Where did that drop even come from?
But for a long time, like, especially at the very beginning, Raptors franchises had the identity of being like a pushover, a team that teams weren't scared to play, to come in here and things like that. And I love that this is the new identity of this Raptors team now.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things too is just the way the Raptors have built this roster in comparison to previous playoff teams. So the way I think about it is this, right? For the longest time, the matchup that gave the Raptors the most problems was big playmaking forwards, right? Before LeBron, there was Paul Pierce. The Raptors literally couldn't guard 35-year-old Paul Pierce. 2 playoff series in a row. I don't want to revisit this, but you look at the rosters, they had nobody to guard them. To the point where Dwayne Casey said, surprise, we're starting Tyler Hansbrough one day.
You love that.
No, I don't love that. That has to be one of the lowest moments for me as a fan, to see after you won 49 games the whole season, you say, surprise, it's Tyler Hansbrough.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Did the game happen on April Fool's? Yeah. No, probably not.
Damn. When you look at the Raptors now, the team is almost entirely built of players who can stop a 35-year-old Paul Pierce. Like, all they've got now is guys who are, 6'8", 6'9",
yeah,
forwards,
plus they go on the road and they can beat anybody. They have one of the best road records.
Yeah.
Like, I think they have all the makings of a team that can cause a lot of trouble in the playoffs. So
yeah, and then plus I think the other cool thing is just I think Nick and his innovative schemes. Like, I think it really, for opposing players, it's not even just us like gassing up Nick. I think it's like all these players have talked about how Nick's reputation is. He's not going to let you be a star that day. He's going to make it really tough for you. Jason Tatum talking about the Raptors defense and Nick's coverages and that stuff in the bubble. I think that's also a distinct advantage over
It is.
CJ Miles guarding Kevin Love.
Damn.
Another great surprise.
Oh,
Surprise.
Man. Remember when LeBron just spent the whole fourth quarter practicing fadeaways?
Yeah. Remember when the Raptors didn't trap LeBron, who had to go the full length of the floor, played him single coverage, and then Masai freaked out at Dwayne Casey, justifiably so?
Yeah, I was in Cleveland the next day when Dwayne was talking to us off the record about it.
Did he wear his championship ring like Kyle Lowry coming home?
It'll stay off the record. Anyways.
Oh, it will?
Let's do one more team.
I'm gonna ask about you. I'm gonna ask about that story in the break.
Let's do one more team before the break.
Let's do it.
The Milwaukee Bucks. I've got their vibes at 9, mostly because, listen, they're the defending champs.
Yeah.
They've got arguably the best player in the world, Giannis. Brook Lopez is back.
Giannis is telling dad jokes.
He's telling,
book.
Yeah, he's like dropping 50 points on you and then rolling up to the podium and with an actual dad joke book.
Yeah.
Which is, we're gonna play some of those clips.
No, Giannis will literally put 50 points on you, dunk on you repeatedly, do the thing where he's like, the crown's on my head.
Yeah.
And then in the post game, he'll be like, hey guys, what do you call a fish without eyes?
Yeah.
Like, it's horrible. It's horrible. I would never want to lose to this team. It's so bad.
But honestly, Giannis, the most marketable player in the NBA. Can we get more Giannis content versus,
I agree.
the team from Los Angeles that's about to be eliminated tonight?
How have I seen the Lakers' downfall in 4K every single night on my television? I'm serious, man. It's like they're on every day.
It's kind of fun, though. I've never seen someone so miserable at his job next to Frank Vogel.
It's funny because I think Adam Silver is really trying to plug the play-in and really make that a thing, because all I see every day are two teams desperately trying to get the 10th seed in the play-in between the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers.
No, and the spoiler is you don't need to promote the play-in. The play-in promotes itself. It's all we've talked about for weeks.
Yeah.
And it's the only reason why anyone's talking about like the Charlottes and the New Orleans. Anyways, off topic now, but my vibes with the Bucks are really good.
Yeah,
I just think overall they're just rounding into form. We've always known that once they get healthy into the playoffs, they should be the favorites. I guess the pros for me would be, the Raptors swept Milwaukee this season in the regular season, and they've always been like Milwaukee's big bro, so there's no fear factor there.
Yeah.
And, we get to see Drake versus Bud again. I don't mind the Giannis dad jokes. Those are my pros. How about you?
Yeah. My pros are mostly that the Bucks aren't defending well this season. So they're 14th in defensive rating on the year. That ties them with OKC.
Wow.
At 111 points per 100 possessions.
Ties them with a team actively not trying to win games.
Yeah. So there's that. Now, of course, do I believe that they're just as good of a defensive team as OKC? No, obviously. I think that's, they have a higher ceiling than that. However, the bottom line is that they haven't guarded well. The other thing for me is, part of the reason they haven't guarded well is Brook Lopez hasn't been around. Brook Lopez has been a big part of their defense, but a lot of drop back coverage. That allows Giannis to play the 4. Then Giannis can be a help defender and coming over from the weak side and challenging shots. And we know obviously how good he can be defensively. And Brook Lopez also just in his own right is a really, really big man at the basket who's done a really good job moving his feet, playing vertical. Since Brook Lopez's return, and of course he hasn't been 100%, whatever, but still, 10 games since he's returned, Milwaukee's defense is 25th.
Oh.
At 118 points allowed per 100%.
Interesting.
So I just don't think they've guarded well all season. Now I'm worried about that because Milwaukee's offense is just what it is.
They won the championship because they played incredible defense last season in the playoffs.
Yeah. So to me, the fact that their defense has not been set all year, it's not even just like, it's like a championship hangover kind of thing. I don't buy that. I don't even buy the Brook Lopez thing. I just don't think they're as committed to defense. They also feel smaller when you watch them. I don't know. Like they're just, I guess along the wing, they're just not as big. They're always relying on guys like Wes Matthews and Pat Connaughton and guys that you can generally
their wing rotation's
attack.
kind of rough.
Yeah, there's a lot of Grayson Allen in there. I think Bobby Portis is not really scaring anybody despite his best attempts. And
we will get his best attempts though if it's a series.
We will, yeah. So the con is that they have Giannis, and when he
That is
scores
a huge
50 points on you and tells a dad joke, you're gonna really know how bad that hurts.
That is the biggest con.
It's gonna hurt your feelings.
Remember when the Raptors? I think Blake Murphy reported this, maneuvered after they let Serge and Mark go and then signed Aaron Baines. They maneuvered so they had the exact money to accommodate Giannis's max slot.
Man. Yeah, no, we really had so much propaganda, but also think about it though. I know Giannis won the title, so I think he's good, right?
Oh,
Clearly,
are you gonna give me a Giannis versus Scotty for the next 10 years?
No,
right
no,
now?
no, 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 no,
Okay.
not that. Come on, let's be real.
Okay.
Imagine Giannis on a team with Pascal, Fred, OG, and Gary
This
Trent.
is still the perfect team for Giannis.
Are you serious? That
This
team would
is
be the best team in the East, bar none.
68 wins.
Yeah. So anyway, it's fine though.
I mean, if Kawhi, yeah. Anyways,
it's fine. It's fine.
yeah, we have Scotty Barnes.
We have Scotty Barnes,
That's right,
baby Giannis.
and we got Utah Watanabe.
Hmm?
Cons for me, besides like you said, the big con, Giannis, seeing Serge win in a Bucks uniform, still doesn't feel right. Grayson Allen is a con, just in general. And for
I agree. Yeah.
And for me, this is of the teams that we're going to talk about, probably the team that I most likely would just pick the Bucks to win that series. As much as I think it'll be a competitive series, I think the Bucks would win this series in like 6 games. You're not willing to go there.
I also think that Nick has a significant coaching advantage here.
Call them a paper tiger, bro.
No, I'm not
Dare
calling
you.
them a paper tiger.
Do
I think they can beat most teams. I think that just the Raptors will give them the most trouble.
Okay. I think
We've
I think
guarded Giannis really
I know,
well, man.
but I'm with you. I think you could say that about every team, though. Like, I think the Raptors going to give all these teams a lot of trouble.
I was going to say, yeah, because I was going to say most teams have not guarded Giannis really well.
No, I think the Raptors have good strategies for a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
And
we
we've
know
seen
Chris
it.
Middleton can't dribble against anybody.
You love to say that.
No, it's just true, man. It's just
If we draw the Bucks next Monday to Friday, it's going to be Chris Middleton can't dribble.
I'm telling you, we're going to do a whole segment on here with Blake Murphy Tuesdays. We're going to play by play by the amount of times where Chris Middleton tries to just do anything off the dribble against the Raptors, and the Raptors pick him.
Yeah, I think this will be a close. You know what's going to happen? A lot
It's
of
not even a meme. It's just facts.
I don't like to pull up the American media card, but I think a lot of American media are going to think the Raptors are just going to be a pushover and lose in like 5 games in these series.
Mhm.
And I think they're going to be in for a surprise. I really think they're going to be in for a
I got
surprise.
Tyler Hansbrough surprise.
No,
Oh,
that's
okay.
the worst. What's the worst surprise you've ever received in real life?
Tyler Hansbrough starting game 3.
Mine is when I
Gets Paul Pierce.
mine is when I split aces at the blackjack table and I don't get 2 face cards. Yeah.
What's the toughest surprise? I don't know, man. Let's take a break. And
Yeah,
we'll
let's
think
take a
about this.
break.
Yeah, I have a good answer on the other side. So I've been your host, Wolu. You've been listening to The Raptors Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. Welcome back to the Raptors Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm your host, Will. I continue to be joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. We are looking at the potential first-round opponents for the Toronto Raptors and going through those. But first off, we got some shout-outs that we want to give.
Yeah, let's take a break, man. We talked 40 minutes of basketball. You want to keep going?
You already want to take a break?
Yeah. My mom just texted me, asked me if I was tired. Man.
Are you?
I mean, no, I love it here.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm excited.
Damn.
Talk all. Well, producer Derek Brandale getting into playoff form as well, I got to say.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I need that Kawhi laugh in regular rotation. But yeah, shouts to one of our listeners, Philbert. He sent me a photo last week of him watching the Raptors show while eating some leftover hot pot.
Incredible.
It's a very aesthetically pleasing photo. I showed you the photo.
Oh, yeah. No, I saw it. I was instantly hungry, and it reminded me that I haven't had hot pot in like almost a year.
Yeah, we need to get that done as well. But yeah,
All right, it's time to call Liban.
Yeah, if you have cool, aesthetically pleasing photos of you, watching the Raptors show, send it in to Will. Why are you making that face?
No. I'm trying to resist commenting on the name Philbert.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you, as you explained to me, it was like Dilbert.
Yeah, but
Which
that's
I
what
was
it
like,
rhymes with.
Yeah.
No, shouts to Philbert.
I just never heard of Philbert before.
Yeah, it's a unique name. Why,
Okay.
What's wrong with you?
No, there's nothing wrong with this.
Anyways, speaking of Asian Heritage Month.
Yeah.
Wait, do we? Okay. Yeah.
Every month on this
Have
program.
you watched Turning Red yet?
I
The
did
Pixar
watch Turning
movie?
Red. Yeah, it was really nice. Obviously, as a Torontonian, as
Toronto based.
someone who's like Chinese, I was like,
Chinese
this
based.
is like
Yep.
content exactly geared towards me, just like how this show is content exactly geared towards that same market. But no, I just thought it was really good. And even jokes aside, like I saw some of the criticism of like it feels too specific or it feels too niche, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's first off, it's not. We're talking about universal themes, and second of all, like, you don't have to see yourself in everything, especially if you do already see yourself in everything. So please don't center yourself at the story's not about you.
You shouldn't center yourself about everything all the time to certain people.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, Turning Red was great. I love that they spoke Mandarin in parts of the movie without any subtitles.
Yep.
That felt cool.
Yep.
Always looking for little steps of progress. I actually on the weekend had a chance to
But
watch.
you don't even speak Mandarin. Did you need the subtitles?
Don't make me. I'm gonna call my mom to do a translation right now. Anyways, about the handover.
Triple handoffs.
Yeah, I handed myself over to the theater this weekend and watched the new movie starring Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, how was
Great
that?
movie.
Yeah?
9.8.
Michelle Yeoh is a legend.
She is a legend.
Oh,
Blake Murphy is here extremely early.
wow.
So we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him to do this vibe check with us. But give
Okay.
us a sec. We're just doing a couple shout outs.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for people watching, for people listening, Blake Murphy has just walked into the studio.
Yep.
Chris Boucher's favorite guest.
No, this is when
is
Chris
here.
is tuning in.
Yeah. So no, everybody should check out Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
I have a notes. I have a notes thing where I just rank all the movies and TV shows that I watch. I'm sure you're so interested in knowing that.
No, we're looking
I gave it
forward to
9.6.
season 3 of Stephen LeBron Radio.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I think another pandemic would have to hit. So
Oh, okay.
you probably don't want that. You have a shout out as well?
That's right. I want to shout out Chef Mary Troy at Soul Food
shouts to
Takeout.
Mary.
Shout out to Mary. If you haven't been, Soul Food Takeout is just outside of Sherburne Station.
Yeah. It's a
you
little
literally
kiosk. You got to look for it.
It's literally a kiosk.
It's a small kiosk.
There's literally a sliding door that you would essentially order from. And no, Mary's always there, always upbeat, and the food is incredible. The daily special is good, but also the portions are just incredibly generous. Like I took Alex there, and Alex had it for the first time, and I think that was enough food for you for the whole day.
Yeah, it was for the whole afternoon. Yeah, no, the food is honestly, it's like a challenge. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like it's really good.
There's
it's
just
just
so
a
much.
portion of it.
Yeah, no, but it's really incredible.
Yes.
Shout out Mary.
Yes, I posted it a few times on my Instagram, and a few listeners have messaged to say, where's that from? So that's where it's from. The
Yeah.
Soul Food Takeout spot.
Yeah, there you go.
So make sure you check that
And
out.
then you want to shout out LeBron on The Godfather?
No, we're not
What is
shouting
this?
that out. So remember yesterday, I briefly mentioned there was a clip going around from a couple finals ago when LeBron was asked about The Godfather because he had claimed that he had watched The Godfather 6 times. So we talked about a few weeks ago, remember when LeBron said he knew Scotty Barnes was going to be a pro when he saw him in 7th grade?
Oh, okay.
So here we have the clip of the reporter asking LeBron this question. So let's listen to this.
It is a question not related to the game, but since it has been a lot of publicity yesterday and today about Godfather Part 2, which is the scene or the moment or the phrase or the quote you like more from the movie?
Oh, from The Godfather. It's too many different phrases and too many different lines in that movie to just categorize one.
But which is the one which inspires you? Represents
That's
you
good
more?
journalism
I
right
mean,
there.
each movie is 9 hours long. I mean, what do you want me to do? I mean, there's so many. I don't know. I'll let you pick one, and I'll roll with it. It's a great trilogy.
Damn.
This is like
No,
you
LeBron,
every time
LeBron
you ask me.
is so funny, man.
Every time
LeBron's
you-
so funny. I find LeBron so comedic. Like the ability that he has to speak on so many topics generically is incredible. Like he should be a radio host.
Yo, like I've only watched The Godfather a few times, and I have like a favorite line. It's
Yeah,
like
what's your favorite-
like
what's your
every
favorite
time
line?
that I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Yeah,
Like, that's what
okay.
they say.
That's a good one, yeah.
And like
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like
Leave
your-
the gun, take the cannoli.
your favorite
Iconic line.
Your
Yeah.
favorite movie is Hitch, right?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite line from Hitch that you
like,
remember?
Like a top 5. Yeah, I could do like a 10 things from Hitch,
can
which
you,
I think
can
I
you
actually
really
have.
actually, or are you pulling a LeBron right now?
No, I'm pulling a Stephen LeBron radio right now because there's an actual episode on this, a whole
yeah,
hour
that's
of us breaking this movie down. You were very upset about it, but no, I mean, like I just think LeBron is really funny about this. I think we should play one of these once a week because I know it has nothing to do with the Raptors, but it's just so funny.
No, it's great entertainment.
LeBron talking about Jordan Henderson scoring in a World Cup qualifier for England to make it 4-0 is still my ultimate LeBron lie. But yeah, this is a great one. This is a really good one. And shout out to that reporter too. The way he pressed him was very similar to the way you pressed Chris Boucher into complimenting us yesterday on the show. So
I asked him to criticize us.
yeah,
It was an open invitation for criticism.
somehow he was just like, yeah, if players get upset about what you say, they should just come talk to you. And I'm like, you're right.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
there's a simple solution.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
We're very open.
Yeah. So, anyways, now we got Blake here.
Yeah.
Let's get Blake involved in this first round opponents vibe check that we're doing.
What's
going on, guys?
First of all, what's
great,
up, Blake?
Great hat, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. Two Jays fans here, squeezing between
I can't wear hats.
basketball diehard.
If I had a Jays toque, I'd wear it. But otherwise-
Man, can't believe Greg Bird went back to the Yankees though.
Unbelievable.
that has to be a made up player.
No, man.
Greg Bird is not a real human.
Like I said,
being.
it's like if the Raptors had a
No
player named
way.
Mike Dinosaur.
yeah, it's you talk about asking LeBron his favorite quote from The Godfather. That's like putting someone says they're a Jays fan, and you're like, okay, name one Blue Jay, and they're like, Greg Bird.
Name one bird. Name one bird on the team. Man.
Oh my god.
Anyways, yeah, but Blake's got the real nice beard. That would not be allowed in the Yankees organization.
It
by
would
the way.
not. Greg Bird's he had the stubble the whole spring training. His
that's
whole-
right.
What are you
his
guys
whole-
talking about?
So do you know the Yankees have a rule that
What?
if you go to that team, you have to be like freshly shaven. Even your hair has to
Yeah,
be
like the
cut.
biggest heel turn in baseball history was Johnny Damon, who had long caveman hair and a
remember.
big beard, going Red Sox to Yankees and having to be clean shaven Johnny Damon. So like Josh Donaldson now has no facial hair, no little ponytail. He's like corporate, wearing a suit to
Why?
KPMG.
No,
Josh
this-
Donaldson now.
No, this is
Ernst & Young.
This is more.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
No, this is like every Leafs reporter having to wear a jacket to the game.
Oh, shout out to Sam McKee. We
Yeah, of
always see
course.
Sam McKee.
I know.
in the
I know the
studio
Leafs
in a
are playing
jacket.
at Scotiabank if he comes in and I see him in a jacket.
I didn't know that rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't just because for a Raptor game, Raptors play tonight. Alex is wearing this.
A Canadian tuxedo.
No,
today.
seriously, this guy really got jeans underneath too,
Yeah.
and some New Balance on.
Yeah. Don't
right.
don't sleep on the Real Tree camel pants I rolled up in on Sunday. But
That's
anyways,
right. I'm wearing just like a regular, windbreaker.
H&M.
Okay, all right. You didn't have to expose me, but yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm not going to the game, but
You're not
I'm
going
just
to the
in a
game, but
hoodie.
you could go to the game like this.
Yeah.
And people regularly go to the game like this. For some reason, everyone who goes to the Leafs has to put on a jacket. Or like a really formal.
Do you think my jacket from Sunday would have covered it? The Yomiuri Giants
that was a sick jacket.
Corkin Stadium.
That was a
Jacket.
sick jacket.
It's technically a jacket. It's got a
Yeah.
collar.
So here's a question, Will. If
Yeah.
if the rule here at Sportsnet was you had to shave, you had to just clean up, you had to come in a suit every day, you taking this job?
Yeah, of course.
One of us would have to teach you how, right?
Oh, come on, man. No, I'm going to get my guys at Hollow Ground to fix me up again.
Yo, Blake, we were talking at the start of the show. Like, obviously, we all joined Sportsnet around the same time. Like, this is the first time we've been in the studio together.
Yeah, because you take the day off anytime that I'm on.
I was trying to. Oh man, I was trying to big you up, and now I'm getting called out. Okay, let's
sorry,
move
man.
on. Let's move on.
It's
Back-
like Will, our show gets really frustrated, Will, because our producer will reach out and be like, "Hey, Will, can you do Blake a favor and come on for 9:45 to 9:50 today?"
I'm
and
like,
Will be like, "I don't
how
know.
about 9:55?
I got breakfast plans. My espresso won't be done yet."
No. Listen, I look back on the tapes, man. I've done that show as early as 8 a.m., baby.
You've been on that show
8 a.m.
like at least once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
appreciate that.
coming on the show.
Yeah, get ready
Seriously.
for more asks, man.
Oh, I'm
'cause
ready.
We're ready for high leverage basketball.
You too, Blake, for this show.
Yeah.
But you're ready.
As long as it doesn't interfere with my also doing Jay's shows and
That's what I was saying.
the
Chris,
morning show.
In the
and-
first half already, we were already talking about how your usage on this program or on this station is Fred VanVleet on the Raptors.
I got big shoulders.
All right. Damn.
Yeah, man. I just want to talk baseball with Blake, man. I'm excited
no
about
more
the
Greg
Jays
Bird
home
talk
opener.
or
on Friday.
shaving.
Can't believe you guys don't have the spring training game on.
Is there a game on today?
Yeah, it's the spring training finale.
Oh, okay. All right.
You mean now that sports gambling's legal, you're not in on all those like 5-inning spring training betting lines where you're
By the way, shout out to my friend John. So
expose him. Expose him.
online betting here in, I guess, what is it, Canada or just Ontario?
Just Ontario.
Was legalized starting yesterday, and he downloaded one of the popular sports betting apps here.
That's right.
And he messaged me in the morning, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm already like $300 down playing blackjack
That's
in
tough.
the app."
That's tough.
So,
That's
but it's dangerous. It's dangerous to be able to play blackjack at any time.
look, would I be telling the truth if I said I never took a weekend's worth of sports gambling winnings and lost it all on blackjack on Sunday evening? Yeah, that would be a lie. You guys know how the poker went during the pandemic.
Oh, we
It's-
talk about it every week.
It's no different now. It's such easy access.
Yeah.
Just no, in seriousness though, like on our show, on the Fan Morning Show, we do talk about that stuff a lot.
Yeah.
But a reminder to anyone who's getting involved with that stuff is gamble responsibly. It's supposed to be part of your entertainment budget,
Yeah, of course.
not part of your investment portfolio. So as you talk about things like Raptors -4 tonight against the Hawks, and you're following SN Bets on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff, just be careful, responsibly.
Man,
Entertainment money.
That's good advice.
sick promo too, man.
Oh yeah.
Slipped in
Look,
that
he just
SM Bets.
Seamlessly sneaked that in there.
There's a
man.
reason I'm on the air like 30% of the time this station's running.
Nah, that's amazing, man.
Damn.
Can we adjust the Fred VanVleet as Rice drop to Blake Murphy as Rice?
Yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that.
Fred VanVleet is Rice.
It's actually
okay.
Rice. Yeah.
Yeah.
We still don't know what the context of that was, man.
Who said that?
We
Me.
said it.
Oh.
Oh man. We were comparing Raptors players to food, apparently.
We were.
Did we do that? Man, we really got no ideas left.
Yeah, that's fair. We're actually doing more of that in the second half of this program with Blake Murphy for Blake Murphy Tuesdays. However, we were doing first round playoff opponent vibe checks.
Ah, back to basketball.
You're the host.
Yes.
Come on, get steer the ship, man.
Steer the ship. All right.
That's
Here,
right.
here
Go
comes
ahead.
here comes the Titanic. So we were doing first round vibe checks on the potential opponents. So we did Miami and Milwaukee. So for each of them, we're just assigning them rating 1 to 10, their vibes, and then pros and cons of a matchup against the Raptors.
10 is best vibes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna continue now with Boston, and we'll bring Blake into this.
Mhm.
For me, I'm gonna give Boston's vibes at a 7. I think they've been a dominant team for 3 months. I'm just deducting points because they lost Robert Williams, and I think there's some questions about the vaccination status of this team, which would affect a potential first round matchup. Blake, what's your vibes on the Celtics?
Yeah, I think it's probably one where I'd nudge as high as 8 for a non-Raptors opponent, and then I'd maybe drop it to a 6.5 with a question mark. Jaylen Brown and Al Horford and Brad Stevens have all done the stepping around each other or stepping around the topic. So we don't really know for sure.
Yeah.
The whole I'm a part of the union's player executive committee, so I believe in privacy. Like they just asked you if you'd be able to play in the game, not for your
It's like,
medical records.
Sir, this is a Wendy's. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, this is the best team in basketball since the calendar turned to 2022. It's not particularly close on the defensive end. Robert Williams being gone definitely affects some of that, and it makes them a little less matchup proof.
Yeah, front court depth though.
They do have front court depth, and I really like what Robert Williams has meant for their defense, but they're loaded with perimeter defenders. Al Horford's not that bad.
No, he's good.
They're
He's
in-
been good this year.
They're in good shape. They're like the gap between them and the next best defense is significant in the 2022 part of the season.
Yeah, I agree. For me, the pros are exactly that. At least 2 of them are not vaccinated. This is something that has been circulated multiple times now. Obviously, the players have been asked directly, as they mentioned, the Euro step the question. Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe wrote that, according to an NBA source, at least 2 frontline players are not vaccinated, which would prevent these 2 players from participating in road games in a playoff series against the Toronto Raptors. Now, of course, they could change their minds and they can get the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I think there's like a 2-week period where they would still be off in that stretch. I think between now and when, let's say, a game 3 and 4 would have to happen between the Raptors and the Celtics, with it being in Toronto, I think they might be okay for that. There might just be enough time. But, yeah, that I think is the biggest pro. The con is everything else. I think on the basketball level, they're defensively elite, as Blake mentioned. I think in terms of how they can guard Pascal, I think they can do a better job of guarding him straight up, which is something that happened in the bubble. Of course, Pascal's way better now, but still, they have really, really strong wing defenders in Jaylen Brown and also Jason Tatum. I think Fred has struggled against playing against their length, and especially how much they switch on the perimeter. There's less mismatches for him to attack. And I think the worst part of it is if you lose to Boston, you know how annoying that will be for you as a Raptor fan in life, as a general Toronto sports fan, losing to Boston. It's not nice.
My guy Keith Smith is going to delete his Twitter.
Oh, my no. Keith Smith's going to be smoking a cigar on the timeline like I was after the Raptors won the championship.
Yeah. After they win game 1.
No, he's going to be smoking that Raptors pack, unfortunately, which is going to be tough.
No, but this was one of my cons, is that this matchup is a matchup of two very toxic fan bases. Like, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad.
But is it any better going up against the 76ers fan base or the lack of Miami Heat fan base?
Oh.
Ooh.
Milwaukee's the only safe space there. Two recent champions.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Milwaukee, yeah. Is there a rivalry with Milwaukee? I feel like we are their big bro in some ways.
A little bit, but I think both teams are just happy, right? Like Milwaukee lost to Toronto. Sure, they got sunned a little bit, and then they won a championship.
Yeah. Like, is there a rivalry between Toronto and Hamilton? Because Milwaukee is just Hamilton on a different Great Lake.
Yeah.
By the way, April 22nd, I believe, is the latest a game 3 could happen in a series. So that would mean by the 8th. So by Friday, you'd have to get that one-shot Johnson & Johnson.
I feel like if they know they're coming, they'll take it. Anyways, I think we gotta take our standard break though here at the 1:55. So let's keep this conversation going. I guess I'm gonna stick around.
Wow, we've roped you into a second hour of work today. I'm your host, Willow. You've been listening to The Raptor Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. Welcome back to the Raptors Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm your host, Will Lou. We are in hour 2 of the show, which you can obviously watch on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and also on Sportsnet 360, Monday to Friday between 1 and 3 p.m. Blake is already here, and he was kind enough to join us in the first hour as well. However, his appearance is not truly complete without his drop, which apparently is going to be a new one.
The motherfuckers act like they forgot about
Blake Murphy.
I love how chaotic that whole thing is. So
I can't abide by the cursing. I did the gamble responsibly promo earlier, unsolicited. I'm gonna do the please use responsible language.
Wow.
People might be, I don't know what time kids get off of school or go to school, but people could be in the car with their kids.
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
Okay, he's bringing
PG
a
Blake
sensibility
over
to the Raptor show that we clearly don't have every day.
No, that's
Also,
definitely
nobody
true.
forgot Chris Boucher's out there putting on for Blake Murphy Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, I
Armani
know.
Brooks
I'm telling you,
taking
man.
over the Armani Brooks hour.
Shouts to Blake. Blake helped set up the Armani Brooks interview.
Of course.
So shouts to
we have
Blake Murphy on that.
And then
definitely-
he never got to play again.
Oh, come on. He
the
played
first
a-
Raptor show curse.
He played a little bit. Yeah.
Thad Young's got
against the Heat.
Thad Young's got a bit of a bump since he did the interview.
Yeah.
With
We'll
the show.
see how Boucher plays tonight.
That's right.
Yeah. These are great segues.
I feel like you're sitting in the middle, just being bombarded.
No,
by
I don't know. Somehow I'm becoming the little bro on
So
the show.
Zach Collins to the White Sox. What kind of the White Sox trade?
From the White
yeah,
Sox.
from the White Sox.
Yeah.
Like, what's up with that?
He's not from the Portland
Yeah.
Trailblazers?
Yeah. Well, he's
Or from the
had
San Antonio
he's
Spurs?
had such injury trouble that he's now left-handed hitting back catcher with minor league
Yeah,
options.
we got a new bow.
Oh, anyways, in the first hour, we were going through ranking potential first round opponents, and we have one more team left. We went through.
The
Did we
most
finish
likely
Boston?
one. Yeah, we
We
finished,
finished
Boston.
Boston.
Yeah, we finished Boston.
No more Boston Celtics talk.
Yeah.
One championship
Ideally,
since
we don't-
1986.
They don't want to see us. We don't want to see them. That's where that is.
Yeah, that's how you call it. That's a toxic relationship. That's
Yeah,
how
I
you
agree.
know it's toxic.
I agree.
But we do have one team left. And what you were going to say, this is the team you really want to see?
I think, no, this is the most likely opponent
Yes.
because I think the Raptors will jump the Chicago Bulls into that 5 spot, and I think Philly will stay in 4. And, yeah, what's the vibe check for Philly? Real interested in that.
I'm giving it a 5.
That seems high.
Really?
That's
Oh,
pretty
I'm
high, man.
surprised.
Come on, we're getting leaks about, well, players aren't that happy with Doc Rivers' offense. We're getting leaks about, the James Harden fit. I know they bounced back winning 2 in a row, but that 3-game losing streak was bad where they even lost to the Pistons in there.
I mean, by the
Joel
way,
Embiid saying stuff like basically, have you ever seen the movie Mr. 3000, the baseball movie with Bernie Mac?
No, I haven't.
Joel Embiid's basically doing the like, this isn't my team. If I was hitting home runs like these, or if these guys were hitting home runs like I'm hitting home runs, if these guys were stealing bases like I'm stealing bases, we'd be winning. He's like, I'm 40-20. How am I not the MVP? I don't know. I think the vibes are low here.
Every time I
was
see
gonna say, 5
DeAndre
seems high,
Jordan,
man.
every time I see DeAndre Jordan
That's
take the
another
court,
-1.
you got a -1.
Yeah.
So I think they're like a -7 right now.
You wrote in here James Harden's honeymoon period already over.
Yeah, because I thought
Yeah.
there was so much excitement those first 2 games. Who did they play? The Knicks and the Timberwolves.
Oh, man.
And
He
they were
was
putting up
cooking the Knicks.
ridiculous stats. And I remember you were on the show, I think talking to Blake about the free throw numbers, right? For Embiid and Harden, like the fact that they're able to just generate so much offense.
Yeah.
But now that I look at this team and all the losses that Blake already mentioned, and I think they've just come up short in all the big matchups, like the Brooklyn one in particular, in the
Yeah,
quote-unquote
yeah.
Ben Simmons return game. And how is this Philly team any different in terms of their problems than the Philly team like a couple of years ago? They can't. How do you win minutes without
come on,
Embiid?
Harden is a better guard operator than they've had in the years.
How
He's
much?
better than
How
Jimmy
much are
Butler,
you
for
trusting him in a 7-game series against Nick Nurse?
You also sacrifice some of your depth to make that trade in a Seth Curry type. And I'm a huge fan of the way Tyrese Maxey's looked alongside Harden. I think him as the third guy who can just be the slasher and the gap filler for them is a great use of him. Matisse Thybulle can at least try to knock down a corner 3. But this is a
yeah.
team that relies heavily on Tobias Harris at both ends. And I think we all feel the same about Tobias Harris in a high usage situation.
Yeah.
It's not great. And look, there's a lot of reason to think that things will click, at least offensively, when the playoffs start, because a lot of the periphery stuff gets dropped off. You optimize a little bit more. But this Philly team was 12th in offense before the trade. They're 12th in offense since the trade. And that is they're first in free throw rate since the trade deadline. Memphis is 30th. Philly's had almost twice as many free throws as Memphis since the All-Star break. and it still hasn't really mattered. Obviously, Memphis is a different situation. They've been cooking for other reasons, but Philadelphia is just kind of a okay offense, even though they're always at the free throw line and they spend all of every game in the bonus.
It feels very much like they have very little flow offensively.
That's a James Harden staple too, right? It's
also kind of an Embiid staple too. He isolates a lot, which is fine.
Yeah,
right? Clearly
and
he's very effective.
Sure, if you could have two players to build the ISO heavy offense around, it'd be Joel Embiid and James Harden. Good luck stopping it. But I don't think they've figured out that stuff yet where, you guys remember 2 years ago when the Raptors had that incredibly extreme double team James Harden game.
Yep.
And the Rockets, even though those were lesser teammates, they had figured out at that point, they had spent years being like, okay, this is how you play around James Harden traps. And I think the 76ers are there to the extent of, hey, if Joel Embiid gets the ball at the elbow, if Joel Embiid's going to do some face-up work, if Joel Embiid gets the ball in the post. But when James Harden's also a part of that, and for whatever reason, they're still like the worst post-entry passing team in the history of basketball. I don't know why they can't do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hard dynamic to figure out, and they don't, like I said, they sacrifice some of the depth there. Like, I know Seth Curry's hurt, but he's not, that's another guy
Andre
who can
Drummond
shoot.
Is a bit of a loss for them, not in the sense that he was like some sort of great performer.
But he's
for
certainly
Philly.
better than DeAndre Jordan.
He's way better than DeAndre Jordan, and with Embiid that you need to give him a backup because, as has shown year after year, this guy's gonna get tired if he plays more than like 35 minutes. Let's be real; he probably gets tired after 30 minutes, but like. He's still going to be effective so long as he's on the floor. However, you need to give him a proper backup because every single time he's out of the game, that team really struggles. That was the Raptors-Sixers series.
Yeah, and even that Cavs game the other night that we were half watching while we were at the Raptors game, they win that game by 4. They just eke it out.
Which, by the way, about that game, really quickly, the last minute report ruled that Embiid had actually fouled Garland on a drive in a 1-point game with like the shot clock turned off. And it was ruled.
So it could have gone the other way.
It could have literally gone the other way. But keep going.
That is a shell of a Cavs team. No Allen, no Mobley,
Yeah.
no Sexton, no Ruby, like all the guys that they've been missing, and Allen and Mobley now. And the 76ers were minus 12 in the 10 minutes Joel Embiid sat.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They have the same problems.
Yeah.
This was the exact same problem when the Raptors and Sixers played a few years ago.
And what do we talk about when we look at playoff rotations? It's not who's the best offensive player or who's the best defensive player. It's who's the best offensive player with a defensive floor that they can't get attacked. Or who's the best defensive player with an offensive floor that they can't be totally ignored. And a lot of the 76ers depth pieces are one-way guys. I like George Niang, but I don't know that he's a guy that you can trust for big minutes in playoff series. DeAndre Jordan just doesn't really have it anymore. Furkan Korkmaz is a guy whose his minutes are all over the place, depending on Doc Rivers' faith. And Doc Rivers basically post-deadline stuck a flag in, we're not going to try Isaiah Joe and Paul Reed in big minutes.
That's why I love Doc Rivers. I think the biggest question for me, and I want to ask you guys, is like, how are the Raptors not going to win this series? For me, it's like the Nick Nurse, Doc Rivers advantage is huge to me. And I guess the other part of it is like, is the James Harden and Joel Embiid duo like that talented enough to overcome all these other disadvantages?
I mean, I think it, number one, depends on how the series is officiated.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even doing the conspiracy thing with
Evan Scott game 1.
I mean, Evan Scott should be allowed nowhere near the playoffs. He's
what about
genuinely
Asian
one of the worst
Heritage
officials.
Month? Asian Heritage Month
That doesn't matter for him, man.
Okay.
Honestly, this might be a sign I've been talking too much hockey on the Fan Morning Show, but if I'm Nick Nurse and I'm going into that series, I'm looking and saying, look, Philadelphia's going to have the highest free throw rate in the league no matter what with these two guys. We're going to get a lot of fouls, but they can't call everything. And we've seen the Raptors' strategy against Joel Embiid, even the games that Embiid goes off in regular season games, it's throw extra bodies at him, be incredibly physical with him. And if he's going to get those free throws, bruise them for him. And I think over 7 games, that could wear him down. And I don't like to do James Harden's playoff troubles are psychological or whatever, but I don't know how he looks at the end of a really physical series like that either. And then, you're going to lose a game or two because Danny Green gets hot or Furkan Korkmaz hits 6 of 8 on threes or something like that. But I don't know. And the answer to your question, though, Alex, is they have the 2 best players in the series, and you would have to, at a minimum, like Pascal has to match James Harden, right? So that Embiid's the best player in the series, and then you're matched up for the second best player, and then, everything from there. The Raptors have a little edge at number 3, little edge at number 4, little edge at number 5, and kind of go that way down the checklist. Because if you don't have the best, if you have only the 3rd best player in a series, that's a really hard series to win, even if you match up well tactically.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big series for Scotty. And I agree with you, too. Like, in terms of the depth pieces, like guys like Gary, OG, and even you go to the bench with, like, Precious.
Yeah.
Or even Thaddeus Young. Like they got to outplay the Sixers role players, which is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
They're not a deep team.
Sixers might be the only team in the league that has a less productive bench than the Raptors. And the Raptors bench, by the way, has really picked up of late. Haven't seen it in the last 2 games, but generally speaking, the Raptors bench has performed a lot better post-trade deadline. And, it's still, I wouldn't say a really strong bench, but at the same time, you can trust a lot of those guys off the bench, whereas Philly has really struggled with that. I think the other point Blake made was just the one-way players, which I don't think it really is said enough about this team. So they have a guy like Tyrese Maxey, fantastic offensive player, really quick, really shifty. He's burned the Raptors a lot this season. One-way player. Defensively, that guy, he's a second-year player, it shows. You look at Niang, his defense is really tough. They call him the minivan. So just imagine a minivan parallel parking. That's him on defense every possession, okay? You're looking at Harden, a one-way player. Defensively, he can be disruptive. He's got good hands. But obviously, we know that's not where he's committing his efforts towards. Whatever, clearly he's going to be a positive still. You even just look at guys off the bench, too. I just don't really trust them. And in a series against the Raptors, Tobias Harris, his defense does become a negative. I don't think he's like an overall negative defender. However, the way Pascal looks at Tobias Harris is with like, I don't know. He's just licking his lips, honestly.
Like a DoorDash ad,
Yeah,
you're trying to say?
No, this guy's like, oh, it's a promo code right there. I'm going to feast. I'm serious.
This is the best food in my neighborhood right there.
He's going to order an inappropriate amount of Tobias Harris, is what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, man. No, they're using the fan 25, man. Every time that's his new nickname.
I have never been stressed about Tobias Harris.
But this is an interesting question.
Ever.
So look at these 4 teams: Miami, Boston, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee, and they're all teams that we can expect to be pretty good defensively. Like Milwaukee's the worst of those teams statistically in the regular season, but they're also the biggest like flip the switch team. Like they know what it takes. They don't, and like they've sleptwalked to the number 2 seed at this point. So if you are looking at Pascal's matchup specifically, Philly has the option to do that early career Pascal thing where they drop Embiid back a little bit. And
we've seen them do it this year, but Pascal's had really good success against
because he's developed that floater range stuff, and he can get into his mid range package a little bit. It's not the same Siakam.
Do you think they'll do the Embiid on Siakam thing?
I mean,
which is what they did in the 2019 run?
They might have to. So this is what I'm asking you guys: is for Siakam individually, who do you think's the best matchup? Because I think Miami throws Jimmy and Bam at him. Boston has an army of guys that you can throw. Boston could do the Toronto thing where every possession down the floor, someone else is guarding you. And sometimes it's a small, sometimes it's a big, sometimes it's someone your own size. And then Milwaukee, I mean, they always have the nuclear option of going to Giannis, and they have Chris Middleton, who's all right. Otherwise, is Philly the best spot for Pascal if Tobias Harris is going to be his main matchup?
I mean, Tobias Harris, they'll probably use Tyrese Maxey a little bit, although if they use Maxey,
it's a big size advantage.
Yeah, well, there's a size advantage. Also, the fact that means no one's covering Fred.
Yeah.
So they'll probably keep Maxey on Fred. I don't know. I mean, or not Maxey on Fred, but Tyrese.
Yeah. See, I actually think Harden on Siakam would be more likely than Maxey on Siakam, because Harden is a good post defender, though. I don't know. Like
it's
Siakam,
not like he's trying to back him down.
I know Siakam's spins are going to get in, but I don't know what Maxey does other than get in underneath Siakam's hands.
Yeah.
At least Harden takes away something to some degree, because I think they'd want Tybal on Fred.
I think so. I think so too. So, I mean, that's the thing. That's one of the issues when you have one-way players. Also, the way the Raptors have traded Tybal this season has been hilarious to watch. They have just ignored this man. Like, I don't think he's been guarded in any of the 3 games the Raptors have played them so far.
Yeah, I think
we'll see on Thursday, but yeah.
We'll see on Thursday, and that's what I'm excited about too. We talked about like these matchups being like practice exams going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm really excited to see the matchup. And I think of the 4 teams that we talked about, Boston, Miami, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia, it seems like the consensus, at least amongst like the fans and things like that, like I think Philly's the pick for people.
And Philly's the pick right now. Round. However, if Harden gets to where we know Harden can get to,
that's a big question mark, though. Honestly,
I'm just saying this could look very silly if they get back to their level, because on paper they still do have.
But there's no good option, right? The East is really good.
Yeah,
all these teams, like Boston has been by far the best team since the turn of the calendar. Milwaukee is the defending champs, and they have the best player in the conference.
Yeah.
Miami is Miami. Like I think Miami would be my second pick, and even that, like that's going to be
they're out of the running at this point.
That's going to be it's not going to happen like mathematically, but that would be a rock fight. Like we saw on Sunday without Jimmy and without PJ, just how grimy a game that is. And yeah, it would be super fun from a Nurse against Spoelstra perspective. That would be amazing. Poor Duncan Robinson. It's just a series of how can you put him in the mix on defense, and then how can you put him in the mix on offense? Just running off Bam illegal screens constantly, and then trying to scram switch everything at the other end. But I do kind of think it's Philly, and you're right. It's going to look silly if things click. Nick Nurse already has a technical foul because of the free throw disparity in that series. Yeah. Poor Matt Devlin.
No, Nate Bjorkgård got to take some of those texts, man. You got to move to the front of the bench.
Can a consultant get a technical foul?
Yeah, we got to.
Isn't he technically?
I mean, Drake got fined for tampering.
Yeah, that's true.
Damn.
That is true.
Yeah, but the rules are different for the Raptors. We know that.
Okay, all right.
But Blake, of these 4 teams, so which is the one team you if you were the Raptors, you think you'd want to avoid? Obviously, you don't get to pick, but what do you think is the least attractive matchup?
I think Milwaukee. I think my respect level for them as the defending champs, as a team that knows how to change things up for the playoffs, and we've had a lot of fun with their coaching staff and their lack of adjustments over the years, but they had a really strong run last year, and they know what it takes. They have
Giannis.
Yeah, I think I'd have Embiid ahead of Giannis in the MVP rankings, but if I'm picking one guy for one playoff game, it's Giannis. So I think Milwaukee's the one that I would like the least. They also match up with Toronto pretty well. When you look at like, hey, who's a guy who can help neutralize Fred? It's Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday's the guy, right? You've got Middleton and Giannis you can use to slow Siakam down. They can match size a little bit without losing too much shooting. I think, they're the defending champs, and like I said,
You're not concerned about their defense at all?
I mean, statistically, it's not very good. They're average
tied with
defense.
OKC for defensive rating on the season, and then since Brook Lopez has returned, they're now down to 25th at giving up 108.9.
But do you think that they care really? Like I know 25th is an extreme number. Like it'll be like that's the lowest any playoff team is since the All-Star break. Brooklyn's the only team in their realm at all. And obviously we're not super high on Brooklyn's defense either. So I think it's a concern, but I also just think that some of that is going to be, do you lock in for a playoff series? Do you tighten the rotation? Do you start using Giannis like actually on good offensive players instead of playing the free safety role?
Well, look, if Brook can just reliably play and he gets healthy at that point, then, and you can trust him to guard the rim, then you can free up Giannis to guard Pascal one-on-one, which is not a good matchup.
They're also still the best, even during that stretch where they've been really bad defensively, still the best defensive rebounding team and the most foul avoidant team. Yeah. So they still do some things well defensively despite that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my other thing too is like Giannis doesn't play a lot of huge minutes in the regular season. It's almost like once you bump him up from like 32 to like 44.
No, that's true. That's a huge difference. That is a great playoff gear, as Blake was mentioning.
That's a huge difference right there. Yeah, I'm with Blake. Milwaukee is the team we talked about in the first segment before Blake was here. Like that's the team where I would be pretty sure that the Raptors aren't getting out of that series. What about you?
I don't know. I've seen
you're
Raptors,
fighting for the
Bucks
Raptors
games
in every matchup
over the years. I think I doubted the Raptors heading into the 2019 Bucks series, and I don't want to make that mistake again because the Raptors have beaten Milwaukee twice in the playoffs. I know these are different teams, whatever, but I wouldn't rule them out. I just wouldn't rule them out. I think Nick has done a really good job of scheming against that club, and until their defense is fully set to me, I think they're gettable.
No.
And the Raptors have looked pretty comfortable against them.
Yeah, and there's no
the regular season.
Yeah, there's no shortage of like confidence like heading into that matchup.
So who is Boston the team you want to see least then?
Yes. Yeah. Don't want to see Boston.
Now, is that entirely basketball related or is that
it's just toxic?
Like spiritual?
No, it's just I think I might lose my job. Like I'm just gonna be on air for too much of that series and it's gonna be too emotional and I might say something too devastating.
The things that I've seen and heard in that radio booth.
Oh, come on. Ask Blake. I was on my best behavior for Kyle's return.
Oh, you were. Oh,
it's true. I didn't even get a hug.
But not for me.
You got a hug. Relax.
Did you see any chairs flying? Anyways.
No, come on. What is this, a WWE match?
No, I tweeted as much, though. Like, you could tell when I'm watching a game with Will because, like, even I'm tweeting about the officiating.
Yo, here's the problem with watching a game with Will. I love hanging with Will. I literally see this man every day. I'm going to see him every day until the end of the season.
That's right.
But, like, he is so negative and dark in the first quarter of games. I'm just settling in, probably just enjoying a nice hot dog, sipping on some vitamin water, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, just a hot dog and vitamin water, man.
Into the
diet of every...
And the Raptors are down like 13-8. And I got to hear Will tell me about all the breakdowns. And then by the fourth quarter, you're a jolly old fellow because they're up by 20 against the Timberwolves.
That'd be nice if that happened tonight, actually.
No, but that's how intense you are, though.
Yes,
and then you can't turn that off. What are you supposed to do? Turn it off for the first quarter?
I can't turn it off. Blake was there. I was well behaved.
Okay.
I think part of it was just Kyle being there, and it was really cool.
No, all jokes aside, you're well behaved all the time.
We're
also well behaved.
We're also in a spot of the season where like this is the lowest leverage week of the season, right? Like we're gonna find out who the Raptors play.
It's fairly
but they
stress-free for me right now.
They don't have much control over it. Like fifth or sixth, you might end up getting like you could jump to fifth and get the matchup you want less anyway. Things like that. The stress doesn't ramp up until Thursday when the 905 are in the playoffs. So
man, can't wait.
Right.
This is the other.
They got the bye right now.
Yeah, Capital City or College Park. I don't know who are you guys afraid of more.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
What's the
really,
vibe check?
really quick quiz.
Oh, come on.
Alex,
No, please.
which cities do those teams belong to? Blake, go ahead. Tell them.
Capital City Go-Go's.
Yeah.
And I'll just say College Park because the name gives it away.
Capital City.
Yeah, this is where they play for.
That's Washington, D.C.
Okay, good. Yeah,
That's correct. That's the Wizards.
College
Shout
Park.
out to Megan McPeak.
College Park. Can I get a hint? Something that will point me in a
Sharif
direction.
Cooper plays for them.
No, that's terrible.
He's
man.
up
Come
and
on.
down. He might. What? I'm trying to give a hint related to.
I'm gonna go with the Atlanta.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
So I
That's
couldn't give you the
That's
name because they're
unbelievable
called the
that you
Skyhawks.
Yeah.
2 for
And
2,
I
baby.
thought about Sharif Cooper because I tweeted
Wow.
the injury report earlier, and Sharif Cooper's on it because he's in the G League.
Yeah,
I'm
That's
like,
impressive. That's
trying to give
actually
some
genuinely
sorta-
impressive.
That's
man.
right. I'm flying high off this, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like
Winner
a,
of that
just like
game
a
tonight.
Skyhawk.
Winner of that game tonight is in
As opposed
Mississauga
to all
on
the
Thursday.
Landhawks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yo, the
all those
energy-
Hawks that are just on land.
Yo, the energy's crazy with the three of us here. Anyways,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask too about the playoffs. Obviously we know Fred's been not 100%, but we've seen
No, he's been bouncing back though.
He's
It's
okay,
been
but
nice.
he's not 100%. Okay, and he won't be 100% the rest of the season.
Okay.
But we saw very impressive performances last week against Minnesota. What was the game where he forced 11 turnovers? Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah,
And then he followed
Minnesota.
it up the next game, forcing 9 against Orlando.
Yep, and we
So
saw what-
20 turnovers forced in 2 games. Which,
Incredible.
by the way, shout out to Chris Herring of Sports Illustrated. He won on Zach Lowe's podcast.
Yeah,
And-
he's coming on our show next week.
Oh, he is?
Yes, yes.
Oh, fantastic. I love Chris. But yeah, he was talking to Zach Lowe, and they were trying to fill out their all defensive ballots. And I think Chris Herring had Fred second team, and he mentioned that clip of the 11 turnovers.
Yeah, no, that was a great
So-
clip. That was a great clip.
Listen, I should be part of the Raptors organization.
Yeah.
I think if I'm influencing the awards.
All right, make
to
sure
this
you bring
degree.
me. Yeah.
Of course,
Bring me
I'll bring
along.
you. Man.
I'll be a
You'll-
consultant.
You'll be the consultant.
I'll
as
actually
always.
be Nate Bjergren. But yes, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so Blake, wanted to ask you. We've seen kind of these bounce back games from Fred. The last couple of games. Any concern level for him going into the playoffs in terms of his health and how that might look game to game?
This is recency bias. I was feeling that way until Sunday.
Yeah,
And
then
I
he
know
looked really good.
that he didn't have the best fourth quarter or whatever, but 29 points, 7 assists, pretty tidy work.
Yep.
3 looks there. Thing is even bad, the shakier version of Fred to me still has a pretty high floor because defenses come way up on the court to make sure he can't hit that pull up or get into that. Even Will and I are watching pregame and he's practicing catch and shoot bombs from the hash mark that's just below the
you
logo.
roped him into the warm up report.
Yeah.
Well, look,
Oh man,
serious reporters like myself and Blake Murphy were there at around 4:00 so that we could make sure we were tuned in for Kyle Lowry's unforgettable press conference.
Look, I don't think it's great that he won't be entering the playoffs at 1,000%. I think he probably
Well, he's got to
in-
carry on Kyle's legacy.
yeah, unless there's risk of them falling out of the 6th seed, I would imagine he'll sit one of the Thursday Friday back to back. They're playing Houston on Friday.
hopefully maybe he gets to sit the last 2 games, like Houston and New York. Who
Yeah,
knows?
ideally,
maybe.
if those really don't matter and they don't care about their matchup or whatever, you could make a case for a little bit of you want to get in one of those because of rhythm, because you're not playing in the play-in games and you've got at least 5 days off before your first playoff game, no matter what. So I think that's room for optimism for sure. And I just think that, especially in a playoff series where that defense and that intelligence and that ability to coordinate your teammates and get the best out of them, Fred's floor is high.
Fred's
Yeah.
always going to be a plus player.
It's
as long
not.
as he's
It's not
on the
quite
floor.
the degree of 2016 playoffs Kyle, where he could shoot 2 of 21 and be a +8 in a game they lose by 11.
Yep.
I don't know that he has that level of it, but the floor with Fred is very high. I'm confident that at worst he's going to be capable defensively, and teams are going to at least try to eliminate him offensively. So even if the shot's not dropping, he's creating space for others.
You chill on Fred's status going to the playoffs?
Yeah, I really liked what I saw in the game against the Heat. To be honest, even the effort that he had against Minnesota and Orlando, I thought he was one of the main drivers of the offense. And against Minnesota, he was trapped a ton. So he had 8 assists. He also, again, created 20 turnovers in 2 games. I think he's looked physically fresher and closer to what we expect from Fred. I don't think that, like, it's going to return to the start of the season where he's, like, carrying the team and he's clear-cut the leader. I think Pascal has really settled into that role, and I think that's the right way to sort of organize the Raptors offense, as Pascal is your clear number 1, then Fred's your clear number 2, and then everyone else is sort of take turns a little bit. But, I think that energy defensively, the ability to space the floor, as Blake said, I think those are the things that you want the most from Fred. And, I feel actually really confident about just the way he looked over the past week. So, I mean, hopefully we'll see that same defensive energy tonight. Trey Young, I think last game against the Raptors had 40 and 11. So that was tough. I think that was also Fred's worst defensive game of the season, Blake. You remember it was right after the All-Star break.
Oh, this is when they got blown out?
They got blown out back-to-back games, Charlotte and Atlanta. And the way Trey was just walking past this, man, it was tough. But you know,
and it was a stark contrast because they had just played the Hawks before the break, and
he had like 20.
But he had 13 dimes also, but like you kept them pretty inefficient. Like, we had 22 points on 23 used possessions. If you hold Trey Young to that over an entire game,
you'd be thrilled.
Yeah, especially since John Collins was available for that game. He's not now.
Right.
Bogdanovich and Gallinari are questionable tonight. So some of
the night off, man.
Some of the secondary options there are not as stout as they once were, or maybe not healthy. So 41. I mean, look, Trey Young can hang 41 on a good defender on a good night.
That's true. That's true. And he's been on a heater of late.
Yeah, they've won 5 in a row. It's the second time this year they've come to play the Raptors while on a big winning streak.
Yeah, we checked the schedule though. They didn't beat a lot of good teams in that stretch, right?
Yeah, it was like Brooklyn was in that mix, but there was some Indiana Pacers.
It is a pretty big game for Atlanta, though. Like this is one of those ones where
to get the 7-8. Right?
The Raptors are favored, but sometimes, not to get too far into the betting stuff, but the thing you're looking for this week, a lot of times, this is more true. It comes out more true in the NFL than the NBA because, guys on the Orlando Magic and OKC Thunder are like playing for their next contracts right now and stuff. But it's you look at who has more on the line, right? And I don't know that the Raptors have a preference between 5 and 6. Obviously, guys like Fred and Pascal, they're not going out there and being like, "Oh, I'm only going to go 70% tonight because I don't care about the seeding." Like, if you play, you're going to play.
Yeah.
But the Hawks, like that 8 seed is the difference between getting 2 chances at the play-in and 1 chance at the play-in.
Right.
That's a really big swing, especially when Brooklyn is potentially one of the teams that you're playing against.
I want Brooklyn to stay in 10th, man. We were talking about this.
Oh.
They did all these things, guidelines, pushing for Eric Adams to get rid of the mandates.
And they might not even play a game in
They're
Brooklyn.
going to play 2 road games. Yo, if Brooklyn has to play 2 road games legit, I don't know if they're going to make it out of the play-in.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Listen, we're going to go to our break because we have one more thing we want to cover with Blake. However, one last surprise pop quiz for Alex Wong.
What? I just defeated the allegations. More?
Okay, so we were talking about the OKC Thunder and how some of the players are playing for contracts. I will give you one of my media meal vouchers.
Okay.
Worth $25.
Okay, let me lock
to be
in.
used at Scotiabank Arena.
That's a real prize, yeah.
If you can name 2 players who played for the Oklahoma City Thunder in their most recent game against Phoenix Suns, which they actually beat them by 21 points on Sunday. So go ahead.
Damn,
looking. I'm checking your computer.
I saw highlights too, man.
You did? All right. Name 2 guys.
Poku?
Yeah, 1. That's why I said
triple-double, right?
Double.
Yeah.
Triple-double.
Good for Poku. Shout out Skeets.
I know Lou Dort's out. I'm done. Oh, my God. This is so hard. Can I get initials on the players? Give me a lifeline at least.
Yeah,
give
sure.
me a tough lifeline.
Yeah. Let's do it. One of their first names is Oliver.
Olivier. Isn't it?
Olivier, yeah.
Did I pronounce
Olivier.
his name right?
No, I didn't, apparently. I'm sorry.
This is impossible,
Forgot.
man. Olivier Martin.
No. You just watched Remy Martin last night and you were just like, this is a name I remember.
Goodness.
Okay, I'll give you
this is genuinely impossible. So
I'll give you this. He has the same first initial and last name as a top Canadian player.
Men or women?
Men.
Olivier. So the
No,
last
different guy.
Oh, okay,
different guy.
different
No,
guy.
not Olivier Hanlon. We're not going that deep. Another player on the team is same first initial and last name.
You can't dangle the voucher and then give me the hardest quiz, man. I'm gonna spend
I just said
$100. I'm
two- I
gonna
said
spend
two
$100
players.
at Alouette tonight.
I have two more of those vouchers sitting at home too. I keep forgetting to bring them for you.
yeah.
I
Guys.
can't do it. I'm tapping out.
No, this is genuinely
Aaron
impossible.
Wiggins is where I was going with
Aaron
that one.
Wiggins, yep.
And the one you were going for was Olivier Sarr.
Olivier Sarr, who sounds like a fullback for Fulham or something.
Who else? Who started for them?
Isaiah Roby,
Mhm.
Poku,
Yeah.
Teo Maladin.
I thought that was the one
Maladon.
that you might potentially
Yeah,
get.
Maladone, I've heard of.
Yeah,
I've heard him, yeah.
Wiggins
Sounds like a
and my
drug.
guy Veet Creechy. Veet almost had a triple double as well.
Wow,
11,
this guy's not
11
a third.
6 and 8.
He's not a third line center for the Leafs.
Honestly,
No.
me failing this quiz is my case for getting rid of tanking, man. This is ridiculous.
Jeremiah Robinson Earl.
Yeah, I remember
off
he
the
was here.
bench.
We made fun of him because he had three names.
Yeah, he should be front of mind. He was the answer in that Pirtle game. You know, the basketball version of Wordle. He was
yeah.
the answer in the
No,
Pirtle
that's
game not long
that's
ago.
not fair. Lindy Waters the third.
These are impossible. This is harder than the hardship exemption era. Like,
Jalen Horde.
this is impossible.
That's it. Those are the 9 guys they
You
tough
could have
one.
asked me true or false if they were real players.
Yeah, you know
I
what?
used to do that. I used to do G League player or fake name. And like, remember that game the Raptors were losing against the Jazz when the Jazz had like 1 million hardship exemptions?
Yeah, yeah.
I tweeted out the halftime stats and like had one fake name in the mix.
Oh. No, that's a good one. All right, we're gonna take our last break, but when we come back, we're gonna cover the Raptors, and we're gonna rank them in terms of how much both Alex and Blake trust them in the playoffs. That's right. I'm gonna switch over to host. So.
Thank Lord.
I'm your host, Walu. You've been listening to The Raptors Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. Welcome back to the Raptors Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm your host, Wolu. I am joined by the Fan Morning Show's Blake Murphy, who is now on to hour 5.5.
Yeah.
On the station today, and also Alex, who is complaining about the workload. No.
Excuse me?
No, I'm just kidding, man.
I'm locked in.
Yeah, you're locked in. And
I'm Joel Embiid, man. Just play me 36 minutes.
yeah,
but I need a backup.
You just need a backup. No, that's actually me, honest. And you know, you have always held it down. So
All right.
the transition of 2 hours has been fairly seamless.
So-
No Boban here or
So I'm
Greg
B-ball-
Monroe.
I'm
or,
B-ball Paul.
Yeah.
They should
What
play
I-
B-ball Paul more. I
No,
think.
they shouldn't, man. Stick with DeAndre Jordan. Make sure he's vaccinated here in Toronto for the
Okay.
first round.
Give him a booster right now, just to be sure. Okay, so lastly, before we go, I think we wanted to go through our playoff trust rankings on the Raptors. And Blake, I'll start with you. Who is the player on the Raptors that you trust the most come time for playoffs?
So the way, when you gave this to me, the way I'm kind of contextualizing it is not the player I think is going to be the best necessarily, but the player who I trust the most to repeat the regular season performance the same way we've seen it and expected in the playoffs. There's a big health question mark with this one, but mine is OG Anunoby. We've seen him in the playoffs.
Okay,
Nothing
I like
changes about his game. He is, other than Fred and Gary, their most reliable three-point shooter, whether that's catch and shoot in the corner, whether that's on the wing. He has shown, yes, we spent the early part of the season and the offseason being like, hey, could OG get more touches? Could he handle the ball a little bit more? But he's also shown, as this team's gotten healthier and as other guys have expanded their roles, he's still very capable of sliding back into that, say, 17 to 18% usage role and being efficient within that. And I still think, as good as Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam and Precious Achiuwa and those guys have been, and how much, especially in Achiuwa's case, he's improved and gotten more reliable defensively, OG is still the guy I want on the other team's best player, unless maybe it's a quicker point guard. Then I'd lean Fred. But in most cases, OG's the guy I want defending the other team's best player. So when you look at what does this guy mean to the team in the regular season, 31-16 the Raptors are when OG plays.
Pretty good.
And we've seen him do it in the playoffs before. We just don't know if he's going to be healthy for the whole run.
Yeah, which, you know, I think he'll be fine. I mean, it's a thigh contusion. He'll play. His career three-point shooting percentage in the playoffs, obviously this is limited sample, but he's played 21 playoff games, 43% from three. And, of course, he has the I don't shoot trying to miss shot as well.
I didn't even know that stat. This was all vibes-based since you guys did the vibes-based playoff ranking. But I can't imagine anyone who feels less bothered by a big moment than OG.
I agree with you, actually. Yeah, you know what? That's a great pick. All right. Alex, who is the second most trustworthy player on the Raptors in a playoff setting?
I'm going to go with Fred. I think based on the stuff that Blake said in the last segment as well, like as much as there might be concerns about what his health is from game to game, like, you know what you're going to get in terms of Fred's floor. And, you know, in terms of him running the team and the things that he's going to do on the defensive end. I will be interested to see, though, depending on the matchups, how teams kind of try to take the ball out of Fred's hands and how that affects his offense. But I think he's such a more complete player now than, say, 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
That he is going to have an impact on every single game. So, you know, for me, when you talk about trust, it's, you know, how many guys you know are going to just have that impact every game in a playoff series. And I think Fred's going to have an impact on every single game.
Yeah, I think you're going to need it from him, too. I think I agree with in terms of the health. Honestly, I'd probably put Pascal, too, just because of the fact that the health is a bigger question mark. However, as I mentioned earlier, he is looking a lot better of late, so that's a very positive sign for me. I think with Fred, even looking back at the Boston series, I don't think anyone played that great offensively. Fred was like relative to sort of how everyone else was. Basically, only OG played close to average, and Kyle was good.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else offensively in that series was kind of a struggle. To me, like, I think Fred had some moments. I know people go back to him getting blocked by Grant Williams at the end of that Game 7. That was not an ISO, by the way. The Raptors wanted to run the hammer action for opposite wing corner 3 for Norman Powell. That play got blown up because the Celtics had played the Raptors literally 7 straight times. So they're like, okay, we know that play's coming. So that was a good execution by the Celtics, and so the Raptors had to come up with something. Kyle had fouled out, whatever. The context is important in that play, but I do trust Fred in that setting. I know defensively he's going to be very important, but you know, for me, I would actually put Pascal too. I don't know, Blake, what do you think about that?
Sorry, I was just going to ask with Fred too. I know some of the talk has been the streakiness in the playoffs, but without looking, What do you think the gap is between his career 3-point percentage in the regular season and the playoffs?
I don't know, man, like 2 or 3 percentage points. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna say that too because I think he had a great run.
actually, name one
against
more player on the
Milwaukee.
Thunder.
Oh, come on, man.
38.3
Olivier
to
Carr.
37.8.
Sorry.
It's nothing.
It's
It's half a percentage.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great Milwaukee series, a great Golden State series.
Yeah.
And despite, like, even with not playing super well overall in that Boston series, he shot the lights out for that playoffs.
It's really the Philly series where he shot terribly.
Yeah. And
That's
some of the
really-
other stuff wasn't there in the Boston series. But yeah. And anyway, to get to Pascal,
Yeah.
I would have him right there as well. I know that this is an iffier one because the last time we saw Pascal in the playoffs, it was that Boston series.
Sure.
It feels like a really long time ago, but also that's the last playoff data point we have, right? It was this amazing coming out party until the All-Star break or so. And then there aren't many guys that the pandemic hit harder from a performance standpoint in the short term than Siakam. I think that the level he's gotten to, though, since, you can go back to whatever it is, December 28th, when he came back from the COVID absence, he's been an all NBA caliber guy since then. Will, when we were teeing up kind of the stretch run here, you mentioned the stat that he's one of the most heavily double teamed guys in basketball. And despite that, the efficiency is still pretty solid. He's at almost 2-to-1 assists per turnover, which is tough for a guy who is going against that much size and handling the ball at that extreme a level. The 3-point shot has come back to almost 36% on the year.
Right.
Look, if Pascal hasn't earned your trust for another shot at being the top guy in a playoff series, I don't know what else he could have done to build that back up.
Yeah, my thing with Pascal is I'm just looking strictly at what he does in the game and how his game has evolved. I think in that in the bubble season, there was obviously tons of things that sort of affected him there. I think also his approach was different. Like, I think early in games, you would always see him take an early three, just sort of see if he's got that range and sort of see if that can open up the drive, all that stuff. He doesn't need the three whatsoever at all this year. I mean, the team needs the three more than he does, but he can get his game with or without the three. He's attacking one-on-ones. He's making the right reads, making the right passes. That's the part I trust. That's what I need him to do, create. Not necessarily always score like 30, 35 points, but it's to make the right decisions offensively each time down. And that's what I've seen from him all season. So I actually don't have any fear of it. It's like, what's he going to do? Lose his touch on floaters and little flip shots and drives? Like, I don't think so. He takes efficient shots. So I think that it's not a situation where if he gets cold, he's going to fall off. Doesn't even shoot the three.
Yeah. No, I think his game is way more playoff proof now.
I agree.
In terms of
it's all one-on-one mid-range kind of stuff.
My only concern would be if he goes in a series, feels that pressure to be the number one guy, and tries to be a score only, something like that. But I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't think that's in his nature anymore. You even look at the clutch stats this year, and that was the biggest knock last year. Was his performance improved over the bubble season, the playoffs last year, but there was a lot of his clutch performance. It wasn't very good. Shooting efficiency wise, he hasn't been crazy good in the clutch this year, but what he has done is, first of all, he's been a really good passer in those situations, really good recognition of I'm drawing way more defensive attention, and Fred's there, or Gary's there, OG's there. He's operated at pretty low usage in those scenarios, but the Raptors have been really good in the clutch when Pascal's available to them. So you take away take away the games Pascal didn't play in, and I don't have the updated numbers, but not that long ago, they were at like a 60% win clip in games that go within 5 points in the final 5 minutes, and Siakam's available to them. And do you really care if Siakam has the ball out of a timeout and he scores on one of those push shots, or he draws attention and kicks out to Fred, who has been one of the most clutch 3-point shooters in the league this year? Do you really care who gets the bucket? I don't think so. You care about the W.
No, of course not.
And that's something that the Raptors have navigated a lot better this year than last year, and Pascal's first year as kind of the guy.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Like, we're not really that stressed about Pascal going into the playoffs, and I think that's a pretty big compliment to him.
No, it really is. But it's not just us trying to be overly positive. I think he's changed his game.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, just like in terms of how we evaluate guys, like, it's been 2 years. If you're not gonna give him a chance with a fresh set of eyes, like I said at the top of
that's
this,
on you, really.
It's like, what else would he have had to show you to get you to be like, okay, I'll give you another chance in a playoff series? Like, I don't know what else, other than becoming like a 40% 3-point shooter. I don't know what else he could have done.
Also, again, I have to mention this. The Raptors won the championship. He was the number 2 option, averaged 19 points per game, shot 47% from the field. First time starting in the playoffs, first time making it that deep in the playoffs. Game 6,
He
what,
cooked
26
Draymond
points.
Green in that series,
The
man.
Raptors had a timeout, up one, had to drop a play. The play they went to was Kyle and Pascal running pick and roll. Kyle finds Pascal early. It wasn't even like a situation where Kyle drew two players and then hit Pascal with the pass. Kyle actually made the pass out early to Pascal, knowing that he had Draymond on him, cooked Draymond, got to the rim, got the floater off, and that put the Raptors up 3, and that was the series clinching shot. So if that doesn't really buy you anything, I don't really know what will. I understand the bubble was traumatic. It's fine, but like
No, as much as you put stock in the bubble, put the same stock in that championship run.
yeah. So anyway, those are our top 3. 4. This is an interesting question, and I'll pose it to you, Blake. Who is the 4th most trustworthy Raptor?
Oh, I thought you were gonna go the least trustworthy Raptor.
Oh,
I was
we'll
like,
get
I
to
don't
that.
want
We'll
to
get to
be
that.
I don't
We'll
want
get
to be
to
that
that.
negative. So again, I think I'm gonna go. I'm torn here. You know what? Are we staying? We're staying role specific, right?
Yes, always role specific, not who is the 4th best Raptor in
Right.
the playoff series. Okay.
I want to go Scotty Barnes here because he's given me very little to think
Interesting.
he'll hang on. I want to go that way because he hasn't given us a lot to show he'll shirk from the moment. He's won at every level. He's been really good. He's been the rookie of the year. I've maintained though since they got him that the higher leverage the situation, the better Thad Young's going to look. This is a steady vet who is going to play more minutes alongside top players in the playoffs. I think he probably jumps a couple guys in the rotation when the game's on the line and it's a playoff thing that matter. Thad Young does not have much of a playoff track record, but we saw even in that Miami game, he scores 2 points, but has a lot of positive impact on how the Raptors are playing. So I'm not saying Thad Young's going to play 30 minutes a game and suddenly be one of the guys you close with. But if we're talking staying in your role, 15 to 18 minutes, a guy who in a playoff series, I know what I'm getting every time out, I think it's probably Thad. And I think he's going to continue. The shorter that rotation gets and the more he's playing with other good players, the more comfortable you're going to be with Thad Young out there because that's what he does. He connects things for really good players. He doesn't raise the floor of, units with the 905 guys.
Yeah, I was telling him last week, like as the Raptors are getting healthier, Thad is playing better because he gets to play with the better guys. And the Boston game I'm thinking about too, when Scotty had to go to the bench late.
He was huge. He played the entire fourth quarter and overtime.
I can easily see that in a playoff scenario.
So Scotty Barnes, a better player and more important to whether the Raptors are going to win a playoff series or not. But if we're just going, hey, this is what I know I'm getting from this guy. This is the cost certainty, or performance certainty. I think you know what you're getting from Thad.
Interesting.
I think I trust him.
Interesting.
Yeah, having said
Alex?
all that, I'm going to take Scotty.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because, I think for me, the one thing that makes me confident in Scotty
Is that he'll do a no-look pass with 2 minutes left in Game 7?
Yeah, either 2 minutes left or 2 minutes in. That's when you can count on Scotty.
I prefer 2 minutes in is fine with me. 2 minutes left in the playoffs. If he throws a no-look pass, my heart will literally be in the air, ready to be intercepted.
Like I'm not concerned about this translating to the playoffs because like it's not like you're putting everything on the rookie, right? Like he's playing a role in the starting lineup, and like what's going to change in the playoffs in terms of his ability to crash the boards, his ability to score in the low post. Like when you need an easy bucket in the half court, like Scotty is a pretty good option after Pascal.
Man.
Like and there's gonna be mismatches out there.
Yeah, you're right.
And
you're right.
I think mostly for me, the concern about Scotty would be the same concern as any young player is whether he feels like he needs to do too much, right? Like if he's shooting like 11 threes a game because they're all open to him and not recognizing that there's a reason why they're open, or if he loses his focus on the defensive end, things like that. But I feel like baseline, again, what Scotty's going to bring just as a player in the starting lineup, I don't think that's going to change in the playoffs.
Yeah. I feel like defensively, I have a little bit less trust in a playoff series where they really get tape on you. They really get a sense of like where you're going to go. However, the where I don't feel a lack of confidence is the fact that if they choose to isolate, because you see a lot of playoff basketball is not just like team basketball. It's a lot of isolation basketball, mismatch hunting. They're not going to be mismatch hunting, Scotty. I think it's more like running him off ball, off screen, stuff like that. Maybe you'll see more of a concern when he has to make more reads just because of the inexperience. But no, that's good, man. I think Gary has already fallen too low for me just because I know Gary's shooting will vary game to game. In the games where Gary's hot, I think the Raptors will win all those games. I don't see a scenario where Gary scores 30 in the playoffs and the Raptors lose.
My worry with Gary,
because the floor of everyone else is high.
Yeah. My worry with Gary and why he slid this far for me is that he's the one guy in the core rotation who, if that shot isn't there, if he's not cooking offensively, I don't know what he's bringing. I think of the starters, he's the guy that an opposing offense is going to target because he's the lesser of five evils.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's bad. He's had a good defensive season and certainly an improved one, but I still think he's the guy they're going after. And if he's not in his bag, if those threes aren't dropping, but I think you're right, Will. I think we just talked a lot about why we trust so many of the core Raptors pieces to be the worst case scenario version of themselves and still be pretty solid and contribute to winning. Gary is a ceiling guy, and short of Chris Boucher in those bench minutes, I don't know that they have another guy who's a ceiling raiser versus a floor raiser, right?
I agree. All right, real quick. We got like a minute and a half here. You guys are both pros. You guys are on the station all the time, every day. We have 3 players left who will be in a playoff rotation, maybe only 2 more. But Blake, who's your next guy?
Who's left? I'll put Precious next.
Defense?
Yeah, I think that you can trust him in a lot of different
By the way,
scenarios.
he's got a little bit of
defensively.
a floor raising if he hits, 3 threes in 5 minutes. Like
Ceiling
he's been
raising,
doing.
you mean?
Ceiling raising, yes.
Yes.
Floor raising is also not something he does that much, but his defense is pretty good. So
Yeah, the finishing troubles and the potential for him to get like a hack-a-shack scenario, have him a little lower here. He's a 58% free throw shooter, but I do think the defensive stability he's carved out. He's established himself as one of your best rebounders as well.
All right, I'll take friend of the program, Chris Boucher.
Okay.
I think Maple Rodman's going to bring his energy off the bench, tag teaming with Precious. Looking forward to Chris continuing his turnaround season in the playoffs. And by the way,
we haven't seen Chris in a playoff scenario, by the way.
Yeah. By the way,
Yeah.
trust rankings, I think I agree with Gary in terms of just like not sure what he's going to bring if the shot is not there. But I trust that game 1 outfit is going to be fire.
Oh, okay, wow.
That's my number 1 actually.
Yeah, so I'm going to cut it off here because A, we run out of time, and B, this is the only 8 players who should see time in the playoffs.
Yeah, shout outs to Ken Birch.
Okay, all right, man. I'm your host, Walu. Thanks for listening to the Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, powered by DoorDash. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. Reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday between 1 and 3 p.m. Thanks again to my producer and co-host Alex Wong, to our guest Blake Murphy, to our board producer Derek Bandale, and Jennifer Olnick for helping us behind the scenes with the YouTube stream. I will talk to you soon. And finally,